People above 30, what's your biggest regret in life? Before we start with the first story, please hit a subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. I'm in my 40s now and pretty much drank my way through my 20s and early 30s. I got into the lifestyle of drinking with friends every day after work, then a big session Friday night, and it was the norm for me. I pitied people who just went straight home from work. Now thinking of all the money I spent, the health implications, the general setting my life back by 15 years, I think I was the one that was pitiable. Story 2. My biggest regret? Not taking those chances all because I was scared of messing up. It's like I built this wall of fear around myself, and it held me back from some epic opportunities. But here's the thing. Failure ain't the end of the world. Nah, it's like a secret weapon for leveling up in life. Every stumble is a chance to learn, to grow, to become better. So now, I'm all about embracing the fails, celebrating them even, because they're the stepping stones to success, the fuel for greatness. Bring on the setbacks, I say. I'm ready to conquer them all. Story 3. If I could turn back time, I'd shake myself out of that anxious cycle of worrying about what others think. Spent way too many hours stressing over being judged, you know. Like, it was this constant weight on my shoulders, holding me back from truly living. But here's the kicker. Most of the time, people ain't even paying that much attention. It's all in our heads, man. If I could go back, I'd tell myself to let go of that fear, to embrace who I am and own it. Life's too short to be living for other people's opinions. Story 4. Looking back, my biggest screw-up was totally neglecting my own health. Like I was all about hustling and grinding, but forgot to take care of numero uno. It's like I put myself on the back burner, you know? But here's the kicker. Health ain't something you can just brush aside. It's the foundation for everything else. If I could hit rewind, I'd slap some sense into myself and start prioritizing self-care. 'Cause feeling good in your own skin, that's where it's at. Lesson learned the hard way, but you bet your bottom dollar I'm taking it seriously now. Story 5. My biggest regret is not getting into exercise earlier. I thought people only exercised to lose weight, and I was convinced I was just meant to be overweight. In my 30s, I discovered running and volleyball, and now I'm fitter in my 40s than I was in my 20s. I wish I'd realized how much fun I could be having. Story 6. My biggest regret's not taking care of myself when I was in my 20s. I mean, back then you think you're invincible, right? Ain't no pain gonna touch you. But let me tell you, those aches and pains sneak up on you like a ninja in the night. Wish I'd listened to the older folks preaching about self-care. 'Cause now, I'm feeling it, buddy. Physical and emotional health both took a hit. But hey, lesson learned. If I could hop in a time machine, I'd give my younger self a slap upside the head and tell them to start treating themselves right as soon as possible. Story 7. My mother was never going to understand me or love me unconditionally, or see me as anything other than something to possess and control, and I wish I could have realized it and freed myself from her sooner. I did it at 25, but at 34, I'm still not entirely free of the specter of her, nor her voice in my head, nor the behavioral patterns she nurtured in me, many of which are quite self-destructive. And sadly, despite everything, I feel guilt for being estranged from her, even though it was the only outcome that could give me peace and the freedom to live a normal adult life free of oppression and repression and control by others. It's taken me years to start to allow myself to be my own person, and to begin accepting the flaws and quirks and all, but even now, it's not entirely possible. Thankfully, I have a partner that loves and supports me unconditionally, and that makes each day easier. I do sometimes grieve for the person I could have been if I'd had a different upbringing and a loving, supportive, healthy family. Story 8. Being a bully. It's like this heavy weight on my conscience, you know? At the time, I didn't realize the impact of my actions, but now, it's crystal clear. I wish I could go back and undo the hurt I caused. Bullying ain't cool, plain and simple. It's like throwing stones without thinking about the ripples in the water. If I could turn back time, I'd be the one standing up against bullying, not perpetuating it. Lesson learned, though. I'm committed to spreading kindness and lifting others up instead of tearing them down. Story 9. I stopped in my late 20s when it became apparent that I'd completely ruin my life if I carried on binge drinking. I didn't drink every day, but I had a terribly unhealthy relationship with alcohol, and it impacted my life more than I realized at the time. I consider myself very fortunate that I actually could stop. I'm not totally abstinent, but I can go out for a meal and have a drink or two like a normal person every once in a blue moon now without having 12 beers and doing something regrettable, so that's nice. I don't enjoy getting drunk now. I've been having a clear out of my very old Facebook posts recently, and it's actually quite hard to see. So many of my posts were about drinking, and I just didn't see at the time how much of my life it consumed. I wasted a lot of time and relationships, and I've given a lot of people the impression that I'm a bit of an embarrassment. It's taken a long time to get back on track. I feel so far behind a lot of people. Story 10. I regret the amount of time I spent hating my body. The self-loathing I had with my appearance consumed me, and now when I look back at photos of me in my 20s, I just wish I could have seen how skinny I was. I regret giving my ex a second chance after he cheated on me. He did it again, and the betrayal broke me and led to me blaming myself and developing severe body dysmorphia. Story 11. I'm only 23, no college degree, and I can't walk anymore, but by God, if I won't use all of my 5 daily steps before collapsing to work my ass off to the best of my ability. I've never worked an office job. All my experience is customer service, but I've got a few years of it behind me and am starting to apply for some jobs, just answering redirecting calls, filing paperwork, stuff that I can still do on my crutches. Nothing super cushy. But for example, a couple salons and medical offices near me are hiring receptionists, and as long as I can sit down when needed and have my crutches on me, I know I'll be fine. I do want to get some certifications and get a better job than that eventually. But I literally just got put in a quit or be fired position due to my inability to walk. I can't do fast food and retail like I used to anymore. And a lot of places outright refuse to accommodate even when going through the proper channels. I see no reason why, if I'm working a till, I couldn't have a stool or chair in my cubby to sit on. Between customers if my legs give out, but my last job argued it was a safety issue and wouldn't let me, and they aren't the first. Anyway, I don't have my hopes up, but I'm running out of options, and I'll never know unless I put in some applications, right? Worst they can do is tell me no. And if they tell me no, I'm back to the drawing board, but not for lack of trying. Story 12. Not a regret, but the best advice I've ever been given is, you are only the main character of your own story, as is everyone else. Basically, don't live your life based off what anyone else thinks about you. Others will always ever be more concerned about their own lives. Oops, you tripped over, and people laughed. I can guarantee you that later that afternoon they weren't thinking about you. You work hard to get yourself a degree and a good job to prove that bully wrong in high school. Again, I can guarantee that years later, they won't be concerned about your failures or achievements. Don't waste your precious time concerning yourself about the thoughts and actions of others. Do what makes you feel happy, fulfilled, and successful. At the end of the road, you only have your own memories to reflect on, so make that final reel an absolute blast. Story 13. I stopped in my late 20s when it became apparent that I'd completely ruined my life if I carried on binge drinking. I didn't drink every day, but I had a terribly unhealthy relationship with alcohol, and it impacted my life more than I realized at the time. I consider myself very fortunate that I actually could stop. I'm not totally abstinent, but I can go out for a meal and have a drink or two like a normal person every once in a blue moon now without having 12 beers and doing something regrettable, so that's nice. I don't enjoy getting drunk now. I've been having a clear out of my very old Facebook posts recently, and it's actually quite hard to see. So many of my posts were about drinking, and I just didn't see at the time how much of my life it consumed. I wasted a lot of time in relationships, and I've given a lot of people the impression that I'm a bit of an embarrassment. It's taken a long time to get back on track. I feel so far behind a lot of people. Drinking makes you complacent, and it's so easy for life to slip away from you. I think that feeling bad about yourself is kind of important sometimes to make you move forward, and trying to switch that off means you don't progress. Met far too many old sad people in bars who'd done nothing much but drink, and it's not what I want for myself. Story 14. I wish I had something to show for my hobbies. I play a lot of instruments and write songs, but I don't have anything recorded. Seems like a waste to do it now, but it'd be cool if I had something to show that I'm capable. I stayed with a girl for far too long because I thought it was my last chance to be in a relationship. I knew I didn't love her, and I knew we weren't right for each other, but I wanted to get married and have kids. So far, I was right about it being my last relationship, but maybe that was a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't know. I wish I took more pictures and videos all throughout my life. I used to cringe when my mom would take out her camera, but now I'm glad she did, and I wish I did too. I should have gone to community college and worked to save money. I would have traveled and spent time with my friends while trying to figure out what I really wanted to do. But my parents insisted that I go to a 4-year university and major in anything. How could a 17-year-old know better? I wish I started investing sooner. Story 15. I had to take a hard break from talking to my mom when I realized how much her programming was still controlling my life. I went no contact for most of the year. My policy was I'll answer when she calls. She never called. I felt guilty for not calling and heartbroken that she wouldn't for a long time. Finally, on her birthday this spring, I called her. It was actually a pretty pleasant convo, but all of her bullshit was so obvious after the break that I could see right through her manipulation, love bombing, and guilt trips. It was almost humorous, whereas before the no-contact break I would have felt flustered and doubted myself as a person for days after talking to her. Instead, I vented with my partner about it. We had a laugh at her textbook narcissism and moved on. I still occasionally feel that pang of guilt she programmed into me, but now I can identify it for what it is and parse out my thoughts and feelings from her programming. I guess my point is, however you have to do it, you gotta let go of that guilt. You didn't choose to have a mom. She chose to have a child. The burden to maintain the relationship isn't on you. Seeing how my friends with kids act and learning to be loved by my mother-in-law made it so painfully obvious how much my mom failed me. I pity her. I don't think she was cut out for motherhood and lived in a time where society expected her to be one. But I don't owe her any guilt for my existence. All right, folks, that's a wrap. If you like more of this, please hit a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your thoughts in the comment below. I'll see you in the next video.